This week for Fallout Friday, now that I have my crashed alien spaceship done, I decided to go ahead and do a little work on getting the Zetan up and running. So, we're going to go ahead and focus on flesh of the head. There's going to be white and red and metallic bits on his spacesuit and the gun itself. The base is pretty basic. Just kind of rocky outcroppings. You find them in a cave in Fallout 4, so that's probably what this is more based on. Also, these models were only produced in PVC as part of the starter set. There were a few times that they sold them separately, which I wish I had gotten in on and bought a bunch of them when the US web store went live, so I could have a little Zetan army. But unfortunately, I was not able to get my account working to begin with. So, taking a look at the pictures that are online for Fallout 4, we can see that his eyes are actually black. So very carefully, we're just going to go in and kind of apply a little bit of black. We're not trying to paint the eye as much as just give it a little bit of shading and darkness, so that when we do come back with our flesh, it'll fill in around that. Alright, now the other thing, so it has a very greenish skin tone to it. So we're going to go with our Plaquebearer flesh, but it also has a lot of kind of almost liver spots is what it looks like all throughout the head. So what we're going to do before applying the flesh is apply some dabs of Aggros dunes, a very light brown, just so that because of the way contrast works and they kind of glaze over, it'll leave the spots there. Now we're going to go ahead and just use our contrast Plaquebearer flesh. And then we're doing this straight, we're not toning it down or altering the color at all. As we can see here, we've got the modeling looking good. His eyes are nice and dark. So we're going to let that first coat dry in there. And we'll probably apply a second coat as well, just to make sure we get it as dark as I want. It's a little lighter than I want right now, but a second coat will solve that and still won't take away from those brow marks. Now, for the red parts of his costume, the boots, the gloves, and kind of his upper section here is all red. Everything else, he has a little bit of black on his shoulder pads, so let's go ahead and do the little bit of black here. And he does have some piping work as well. So that's the blank on the shoulder pads done. So I'm going for a deeper red, so I'm using Flesh Terror's red for the gloves and the boots, as well as the strapping. Alright, so while that red dries, we're going to go ahead and throw on our second coat of Plaquebearer flesh real quick. Be careful not to let it feed into the red. So we're just going to start at the top, doing some nice light coats. Okay, that's much more where I wanted to see that. A little darker. You can see the splotches on his head well. And as we can see with the red, I think that looks really good against the white. So, let's see what that belt should look like. So the belt is mostly red as well. So we're just going to go back over that. Alright, we're going to let the rest of that red dry, and then we're going to apply our contrast white onto the rest of the spacesuit, which will start fill in what little details do remain there. Again, this is done with the PVC, so it's not quite as detailed, but we're still getting some nice looking spots on it. So we'll be back once that's just sufficiently dried. Okay, so things have dried up nicely, so now we're going to go ahead and put a little color on the gun. So gun is usually metal and red. So to differentiate the red of the gun from the red of the suit, we're going to go ahead and use blood red for a slightly brighter color. And we're pretty much just trying to put some on the barrel here, the body, just so we can have it looking a little different. Alright, now for the barrel glow, we're going to use some Tesseract Blue. And we're just going to apply that on the little vents that are on the gun here. This also makes a good plasma glow for any grimdark you might be working on. Now, for the lenses, we don't want to have the same blue, so we're going to go with an Ultramarines blue instead. So this will be a bit darker. And it's right on a crease of the mold. So just being careful. Alright. And then for the rest of the gun, we're going to go with the Militarum Gray. Alright, so that gives it a nice little different color than the glove. Maybe add a bit more. Here we go. On the barrel. Alright. Perfect. Now with everything else, we can go ahead and add our contrast white to the suit, and that'll help pick out any creases and everything. Since we are going for a very light coat event, I'm just gonna do an equal with my contrast medium to wash it out a bit. So we'll let that dry while it's doing that. Let me grab some more Flesh Terror Red and fix the back of the boot here. line out a bit. Okay, all the rest of that's drying. I want to add some color to the backpack. So what I'm going to do is, where it's got these tanks, I'm just going to real quick take them to white. And then, let's make that point a little, there we go, finer. White is drying nicely. All of that's looking good. Now, there are some metallic pieces, so we're going to take a regular metallic paint and just kind of fill those in. Now we're going to add that color to the backpack. Go. A little more on the gun. That way the two energy sources align. Now, for the base, because we've got some rocks. Mostly it's the open earth, so I'm going to take my Towelite Ochre, go over most of it, and then I'll pick out the larger rocks in my Necromancer Cloak, and we'll seal it and we'll be done. So I'll be back with the finished. Alright, so as we can see, he's come out quite good. I hit his metallic bits with a bit of black wash, just some Nuln oil. Base is all done. All the ceiling's done. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some tufts. So I'm going to use my Pico Scene Static Grass. Since we have a lot of bare dirt, I think we can get away with a couple of those. So I'll go ahead and take my tweezers here. And as with a lot of times when I use this, I'm going to go ahead and also add some wash to the stones as I drop him. That's why he's sealed. Just to ensure that it blends. So we got that one. Then I think a small one at the back. Just right up against that for some texture. And then I usually use my Agrax gloss for my bases, but once they're sealed, I don't want to use gloss because I don't want it shiny, so we use my regular Agrax. Just any old brown wash will do. And we're just gonna kind of dab it in here onto these rocks and dirt that are part of the tuft, just to bring it in line color-wise with the base. That should do there. Doesn't take much. Just trying to blend it in. A little bit more, I think, right here. There we go. Alright, so there we have our Zetan. The pilot just escaping from the crashed UFO that we already did. So that'll make a nice addition for Halloween. As we have hit October, I'm going to try and do some more Halloween orientated models the next few weeks. So next up we're going to do the Mechanist, as that's a costume based, and Raoul at some point, so that we can have our ghoul in there, and then we'll see what else I've got. But for now, I think having a little alien in a spacesuit works nice as a costumed piece. And we will see you next time.